Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm taking a look at Tennessee Titans and more specifically Julio Jones and going over whether or not Julio can win Comeback Player of the Year in the upcoming 22-1 season. But before we get into that topic, question for those of you viewing really quick. Where do you rank Julio Jones amongst receivers in the NFL today? Is he still top 5? You got him top 3? Or is he falling back to top 10? Wherever he is to you, comment down below and I'll give my answer at the end. But getting straight into it, Julio Jones, can he win Comeback Player of the Year? I gotta say, personally, I'm just going to go ahead and give my answer because it's kind of neat throughout the video. I still think Julio Jones is a top 5 talent. So for him to only play part of the season last year and to go to a new offense, Comeback Player of the Year is opening up for him, but there are a lot of challenges in his way. First reason that's really going to set him back from winning Comeback Player of the Year is that he still played 9 games last year. You know, there's a lot of other guys last year that he's competing against, such as Dak, McCaffrey, Saquon. There's a lot, so I'm going to go through it. Dak, Saquon, McCaffrey, Jimmy G, Carson Wentz, Sam Darnold, arguably, OBJ, guys on defense, Derwin James, Nick Bosa, Von Miller. There's a lot of cats out there that have really had huge setbacks. And Julio Jones, like I said, he still played 9 games. He still averaged 15.1 yards per catch last year. His career averaged 15.2. So his setback wasn't huge. It's not like he's coming off this huge injury, season ending, of where he only played 2 games. And, you know, the story just isn't there as much. Another reason, he's on a run-centric offense. You know, Derrick Henry, I mean, when you get a guy like Julio Jones, a top 5 receiver in my opinion, obviously your offensive mind and your offensive game plans can change to an extent. But also when you got Derrick Henry, are you really going to move off of him that much? Again, Julio Jones is going to get the ball, but Derrick Henry's going to feed into his reps. And, you know, there's no problem with that. Whatever wins the games, wins the games. But as far as just comeback player of the year case, it will hurt Julio. And I know Julio's not going into this year saying, I want to win comeback player of the year, but I just think this is a fun topic to at least consider and go over. And another reason is it just 9 times out of 10, if Julio Jones were to even come close to winning the award, 9 times out of 10, like I said, if it comes close between any other position and a QB, it most likely will go to the quarterback. The award just goes to the quarterback. The league favors the quarterback. The fan base feeds the quarterback. And, you know, call it rigged or gypped, whatever you want. It is what it is. Get over it. I mean, I'm not saying it's completely fair, but that's just how the storyline is throughout the NFL. You can't, you know, that's how it is in college most of the times. Rarely we see a receiver like Devontae Smith in the college football win Heisman. It typically goes to a quarterback, but also rarely we see any other position but quarterback win MVP. And I think the same thing's going to go for comeback player of the year unless someone has a phenomenal year. And, you know, like I said, if it comes close to Julio Jones or Dak Prescott that won the division for the Cowboys or Joe Burrow that somehow made it out of the AFC North to the playoffs, I feel like it's just going to go to the QB. And that's just comparing the quarterbacks. Like I said, there's other guys out there. There's guys on defense. There's another receiver, OBJ, you know, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. I'm not saying Julio Jones is even going to be in the final 2 where it's between him and one other quarterback. And I'm just saying there is always that variable if it came down to it. So the odds are stacked against Julio. But when you're talking about a top 5 receiver, who's to say he can't do it? In order for him to do it, at least in my opinion, again, with the story of him playing 9 games, still a decent season, still averaging what he usually averages per catch, it will be harder. But if all of a sudden this cat comes out and leads the league in receiving yards and, you know, did steal the offense of Derrick Henry and the Titans are the number 1 seed in the AFC, I'm going to start looking at him like, all right, maybe he does deserve my vote. Again, I'd have to look at it and look at the other teams. What if Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are the number 1 seed? I highly doubt that will happen. You guys know what I mean. It would really take Julio Jones to go to the next level, to lead the league in their receiving yards, to be a big reason the Titans took the jump to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. And I just, while I could see the Titans making a jump like that this year, and part of it being to Julio Jones, I just don't see all the credit going to him. It's going to be split up between him and A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, of course, and I just don't see so much spotlight on Julio to where he could just steal the award. Personally, can Julio Jones do it? Of course. I mean, he's my favorite player in the league. I'm going to be rooting for him to do it, but in all realness, I just feel like the odds are stacked against him. I feel like guys like Dak, like Carson Wentz, Jimmy G, Sam Darnold, Joe Burrow, any of those quarterbacks I feel might have a better story as the comeback player of the year than Julio Jones. And I know this isn't a competition of who had the saddest story and who rebounded the best. I know that, but you guys know what I mean. It's the worst seasons to rebound off of to make look even better. Dak Prescott playing 3 games or 4 games, whatever it was, now play a full 17-game season, take his team to the playoffs, it's going to look better than Julio Jones going from 9 games to 16 or whatever it is. Same thing for Joe Burrow and the other teams, whatever you want to call it. But again, anything is possible. Really, it's just going to depend on how this Titans offense runs. And as much as I want Julio to get it because he's my favorite player in the league or top 5 favorite player in the league, the Titans are a run-centric offense, and that's just not going to change. And to be honest, it shouldn't change. That's what wins them games, and they need to stick to it. They just need to stick to the passing game. If they crowd the box, if the defense crowds the box, make them, regret it and pass it up deep to Julio Jones or A.J. Brown, whatever route or game plan you want to run with. Passing is just going to be the number 2 option when you have the best running back in the league that continues to get 2,000 yards. If Derrick Henry has a bad season, if Derrick Henry goes down, then things going up, and then you want to look at your passing game a little more. But being optimistic and, pending no injuries and pending no one figures out how to stop Derrick Henry every single game, Julio Jones and A.J. Brown are going to be the second options on this team. And again, that's not a bad thing by any means if it's winning your football games and if it's working. But when looking at statistics and comeback player of the year awards, it's going to hurt Julio Jones' resume. And I've said it at the beginning of the video, I'm not expecting Julio and the Titans going into the season and say, let's win this award. This is what we're going for this year. No, they got their eyes on the Super Bowl. Whatever happens along the way happens. We don't care. We want a ring on our finger. I don't care what any other trophy about that ring on my finger. And I get that. But again, I just want to talk about the video and see if it's even in the realm of possibilities. And I know technically anything's possible. But as far as, realistically and probabilities, odds are stacked against Julio, and I don't expect him to get it. I mean, I can make the argument. I'm not saying I am claiming this, but I can make the argument OBJ is going to have a better comeback year than Julio Jones just because of the storyline and just because of the expectations and just because of the offenses. Again, I'm not saying OBJ will have a better comeback player of the year case, but I feel like the argument could be made, and that alone showing just even one other position that's equal to Julio Jones, let alone the quarterbacks, let alone the running backs, let alone the defensive comeback player of the year possibilities. I just don't see it happen for Julio. As much as I'd love to do it, I'd love to see it happen. If I'm putting my own hard-earned money on the line, I would bet no, Julio Jones does not win comeback player of the year. Again, if the cat leads the league in receiving yards, has 15-plus 100 yards, makes the title as being the number 1 receiver in the league again, that's all. He's getting my vote right away. But just being on a run-centric offense, having a Devontae Adams, having a DeAndre Hopkins being in their primes, Julio Jones going on 33, odds are low, and I just don't see it happening. But I do want to hear your guys' opinions. What do you think? Do you think Julio Jones can win comeback player of the year, and do you think he will win comeback player of the year? 2 different questions. Of course he can. I think everyone would answer that, but will they or will he? I think a lot of people would agree and say no, but I do want to hear opinions. Maybe I'm wrong. Of course, referring back to the question today, I already said it before. Julio Jones is a top 5 receiver in the league, in my opinion. In no order, I'd probably put my receivers at Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, Michael Thomas. Probably have Stephon Diggs sitting right outside of that top 6 or top 5 at number 6. But a lot of things depend on Julio and Michael Thomas coming off of injuries, and Julio going into the age of 33. Michael Thomas, he's hitting his prime, but you guys know what I mean. Just coming off of injuries, things can open up and they could fall out of the top 5, or they could prove everything wrong and rise to number 1 again. We'll just have to see, but I do want to hear your opinions where Julio ranks amongst the NFL and wide receivers. As always, and of course, guys, I truly, truly appreciate it. I know I say it every single video, but I truly mean it, that I love and am thankful for you guys to watch the video. As always, and of course, 2-minute warning.